Welcome back to Crackerjack Movie Chat. I am, as always, your host, Peter J. McCluskey, joined by Mr. Robert Toome.
Hello there.
And we're here as promised to follow up on the wheel spin that is comic book adaptations. Now, Robert, let's just say we had long, drawn-out discussions about how to handle this category, which seemed to be so many films being brought up that we could discuss or that we wanted to pan or praise.
It was a very hard pick because we're also then thinking of independent, not your DC Marvels. We end up getting confused and we thought it may be just a better idea to just split it all up.
Exactly. So today we are going to cover DC films, and of course we will come back in a couple of weeks probably and discuss Marvel films, and then who knows, if we can dig up enough, we may just do everything outside of DC and Marvel after that, but that's all in the future. Today we're going to just discuss DC. So I'm just going to kick this off right now with a film. Not only, like I always say, I'm more of a Marvel person in general, like aside from Batman, so I'm basically living up to that famous meme. And yeah, I feel like this film is really the epitome of that. It's a film that's not only my favorite comic book film of all time, it's easily in my top 10 favorite films of all time. Of course, I'm talking about The Dark Knight. And what is there to say about The Dark Knight that hasn't been said over and over again? I feel like the film that every comic book movie for the last 13 years has been chasing, because everyone really holds up the Dark Knight trilogy as this one of the great trilogies of all cinematic history, but it's really this middle film in the series that's the one that deserves the praise, that hyped everything really, because you look at Batman Begins, really good film, but moderate hit is what I'd say. Like, it was more just considered, oh, this is good, this is new, something new with the comic book genre. But The Dark Knight's the one where it just blows everything else out of proportion, just makes this huge box office and inspires, like, I don't know, you say Winter Soldier, it would have inspired, and I feel like Zack Snyder's whole take on Superman is jumping off of what Nolan did with Batman. So starts off as your standard Batman versus Joker scenario, except in this more realistic, more grounded Batman universe that Christopher Nolan's created, where you have Batman. He's been operating for, I think they say, about 9 months by this point in Gotham City, and all of a sudden wanders in the Joker, who is basically just a self-proclaimed agent of chaos, who is just going to act in complete opposition to what Bruce Wayne's mission is in this city. So yeah, you get it established that the Joker's mission through this whole chaos that he's creating in Gotham City is to make Batman unmask publicly. And you get the impression that he doesn't really care who Batman is. It's more that he just wants to push Batman to his absolute limit. Like, he's seen the balance being tipped by what Batman's done in his mission against crime, and is just saying, okay, I'm coming in as the opposite polarity to that, and I'm just going to disrupt everything you're doing. Yeah, that's just makes the Joker a fascinating character, that he is just that mission, really. Even just down to the Joker's personality, that he does seem so flippant, and yet you get that he's so controlled about everything he does, down to the scene in the middle of the movie where, yeah, they've captured Joker, you think the movie's done. I mean, this is such a dense and action-packed movie that by that point the movie could be done, but then you just realize, oh, it's all part of the Joker's master plan, and he screwed things up for Batman and the GCPD even more than it was already, and he's out there again. So yeah, it's hard to talk about this film because it's been so praised for the last 13 years. Like, Heath Ledger, let's just talk about Heath Ledger for a minute. He is, of course, amazing. This is it's weirdly weirdly like the starkest take on the Joker, and yet you can really see the fundamentals of that comic book character right there. Like you go back to the Killing Joke or the Dark Knight Returns with the whole idea that the Joker in those comics is always trying to push Batman to break his role, and like you see that in this version of the Joker, and like I feel like there's been a lot of, ever since the Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix came out a couple of years ago, there's been a lot of debate about people saying, "Oh, is Joaquin Phoenix even better than Heath Ledger's Joker?" And for me, that kind of that's kind of an irrelevant argument because I think both actors give incredible performances, but the difference is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, Phoenix is the performance that's holding together kind of a mess of a film, where if you take Phoenix's performance out of Joker, that movie completely falls apart. But with The Dark Knight, you have this incredibly constructed film with so many brilliant elements to it and just everything being important in the film, with Heath Ledger as this cherry on top of it. And yeah, that's for me why The Dark Knight is just fundamentally better than anything DC has done in the last 13 years, basically. And I'm not saying I don't like any of the others. Like, as we say, really enjoyed the Snyder cut of Justice League, and I've watched it again since we reviewed it, and it's gotten better for me, even since our review. And yeah, there's others that I've enjoyed. Robert's going to talk about one of them in a minute. So yeah, as I say, it's hard to sum up a film that's so so well constructed, really. Like, it's all about characters and the decisions they make and how these actions that the Joker is taking can push characters into becoming something entirely different. Like, you look at the character of Harvey Dent, who we saw the trailers, we didn't know if he was going to become Two-Face in this film or if they were sort of setting him up for a later film to become Two-Face. But the way they do it in this film, by spoilers, of course, everyone's seen The Dark Knight. By killing Rachel, you totally buy that that would drive Dent over the edge into becoming Two-Face the way he does, and it's just brilliantly done. And yeah, I feel like a lot of people have talked about how this film really mirrors the climate of terror, where the Joker is this faceless enemy that comes out of nowhere and just strikes when you're least expecting. And yeah, that's like, and I'm not saying I need my comic book movies to mirror the real world for me to enjoy them. Like, far from it. Like, I can appreciate a comic book movie, again, like Captain America Winter Soldier, that really examines the world we live in and how someone like Steve Rogers would react to that world. But at the same time, I can appreciate something like, again, something Robert's going to talk about at the end of the show, Batman 66, which is just this supremely entertaining romp. So yeah, I feel like, well, Robert and I will get into this a bit more, but yeah, The Dark Knight, it's just far and away the best comic book movie ever made for me. Does justice to its characters, does something different, and yet stays true to its source material. And yeah, it's just an exciting action movie that does what all the best action movies do. Gives you the adrenaline, but gives you the ideas at the same time. So yeah, The Dark Knight, one of the greats of the last 20 years, really. So Robert, what do you think of The Dark Knight?
Yeah, it's weird. I can never talk about one of those films without talking about the trilogy, uh, and it is true. Like, I really enjoyed the fact that they tried to make it in a realistic setting. Like I always said, in a weird way, the Nolan trilogy didn't feel as if it was complete comic book. It was like, how can we take a comic book character and make it possible? Like, you, how, like, it was, Batman did have his gadgets that they were all pretty realistic gadgets. It wasn't like shark repellent, which I know that may allegedly be a real thing, but again, we're not going into that. The new, just real things. Was just like, just yeah, I really did. I actually really did enjoy the character of Harvey Dent as well. I liked that whole twist with him. Because again, watching the film through, I knew who Harvey Dent was, but I also wondered myself, well, if they're ever going to is he going to be Two-Face? Are they going to, or is this just like a wee, there you go? Because I felt, did they not always sneak in Cillian Murphy throughout the trilogy?
Yeah, we knew, like, obviously he was Scarecrow in the first one, but we never knew he
Yeah.
was showing up in 2 and 3, and then it was always a
No.
brilliant surprise. Yeah.
Because even his Scarecrow is just very realistic. It's just a guy, a mask on with just stuff that spits out. It's just quite a, no, the Scarecrow for the comics or the games where he's like this really weird looking disfigured character, or in some versions he looks like a pumpkin man, but that's by the by. But yeah, yeah, I never get the debates when it comes to the Joker, mainly in the sense that I don't think there's, like, they all play the same character, of course, but I think they all play different versions. I think it fits a time. I don't think I could sit. I've never sat to try and compare them, you know, from even Mark Hamill's voice. For me, that's the Joker's voice. I would like to see William Dafoe play the Joker. That's my dream casting. I don't know why. It just looks creepy. I could see it. Yeah, but Heath Ledger is. It was a brilliant performance. Even when you hear all the ad libs, the clapping, it just adds into it. I think the demolition in the hospital was actually delayed by a couple of seconds, so you messed around with the buttons. It just adds the weirdness of the Joker because he is a clown. You know, that is his persona. He does have his moments. He's just organised chaos, and I think Heath Ledger's Joker just portrays that so well. It looks like he's like, what did he want? Like, he had all the stacks of cash, he burns it, he kills all the other criminals. So like, what does he want? He just wants the Batman, not to kill him, as you were saying, just to battle him. I always thought it was like Sherlock Holmes and Moriarty, without one, the other one really isn't really important. It was like the perfect battle that could never be won. And it's, I mean, I think it was the plans for the third film not to bring him back. I don't think they had a plan for Bane. Although the one I actually did like Tom Hardy's Bane wasn't the Bane of the comics or the Bane I'd like to have seen, but again, in the realistic setting, I did enjoy his Bane. But I would have been interested to see if Heath Ledger would have came back if he hadn't died, obviously, sadly.
Yeah, and you can feel that in the third movie all the way through, that they are referencing more of Batman Begins than they are of The Dark Knight, and it makes the third movie kind of sit weirdly for me, where I don't know, The Dark Knight is the most important part of the trilogy for me, but it barely figures into the third movie because, again, they can't reference the Joker at all because they don't want to say, oh, the Joker's dead, because they don't want to bring up the bad memories that Heath Ledger isn't with us anymore. So, yeah. Yeah, as I say, the third movie for me, it's a good movie, but it doesn't live up to the other two. But yeah, they did what they could with what they had, basically. So yeah, The Dark Knight, that's a good one to start us off with, I'd say. So Robert, you have something very different from The Dark Knight for your best, I'd say. So
I would say I've went for something a lot more colourful. I've went for Aquaman. Now, I'm a massive Aquaman fan. I am. I weirdly like Aquaman, even though I can't swim, which is pretty weird. But I love that whole character. So I'll be honest with you, I am a Jason Momoa fan, but when he was cast as Aquaman, I was a bit, all right, interesting. It's not the cast I would have went for, but I like what he brought to the role because the film is just fun. Right? I don't really know where to start. What I enjoyed most about this film, I mean, me and my dad went to go and see it in the cinema, and we managed to get those, is it the 4DX seats? Or the ones that batter you around, spray water in your face. I was soaked by the end of this film, and I should have clicked. I mean, Aquaman, just, I don't know if that experience made the film just 1,000 times better, because you felt as if you were in these massive battles, that the film actually does give you big battles, which is just amazing. Where do I start with this film? Start with the cast. I'll go with the cast. So you've got Jason Momoa as Aquaman. You have Amber Heard, the controversial person that she is now. She is Mira. I'm now forgetting people now. Her father is Dolph Lundgren. Weirdly shocked me that Dolph Lundgren was in that. I don't know why. William Dafoe's name, a character's name I've just now forgotten, but he plays almost as if.
Volko.
Volko, that's it. I had a slight. I was nowhere near that name. I had something completely different, like Turkin. Don't know why I had Turkin in mind, but anyway, yeah, you've got that spot on. He's almost as if he is Aquaman's mentor. He trained him secretly, growing up. Yeah, you've got, and then the man that was in The Watchmen.
Patrick Wilson.
That's his name. Thank you very much, Patrick Wilson. He plays the Ocean Master as he becomes. He believes he's the rightful king of Atlantis because he is the purebred. He was born by a pure king and a pure queen. And Aquaman, Jason Momoa's character, is a half and half. His father is human. He was a lighthouse keeper. And I like that whole narration right at the start. I like that weird romance that it portrays between his father and the queen. Do you know the worst it is? I'm not doing, for a film that I really enjoy, I'm not doing very well with it. Nicole Kidman. There we go. I'm not doing very well with the names. Names do escape me sometimes. Nicole Kidman plays the queen. And it's almost, I think she washes up. And then, by the way, the human lighthouse keeper is a very famous clone, shall we just say, who's Peter, I know you know his name. I just
the actor is Tamara Morrison, who played
I was never going to get that.
Yep.
I was never going to get his name, and you had that weird, funny bit to it. He was fabulous in it for the small parts he plays, and I think I really enjoyed it. So basically, it's she is the pure queen, and she is injured, and she washes up, and she falls in love with a human, and she's escaping the bad, evil king. It's the general kind of story, big, lovely queen leaves rich man, falls in love with allegedly a peasant because they view humans as destructive beings, which in a way maybe we are. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. But an Aquaman is born. She's then took away, and it's led to believe that she's killed. Aquaman has a real weird history with Atlantis. He wants nothing to do with it, which I felt like the Zack Snyder Justice League kind of had more to it. It was almost as if he had more of the weird arguments with Amber Heard. But in Aquaman, Amber Heard doesn't have that weird English accent, so you're not put off by that, which is good because she's in it long, and I don't know if I could have personally dealt with that weird accent. But it's basically that. And then you get this really... I've got my time. I'm sure that's first, and then you've got this brilliant scene where I love Aquaman's villain, the Black Manta. I love this character. It starts off with a submarine. You've just got a gang of mercenaries who have attacked it. You don't know why they're attacking it. You just think, oh, bad people attacking a submarine. He just appears. So they've killed people and they've took people hostage. Aquaman arrives on deck with the coolest line, like, permission to come aboard. He's just standing there. It's the one thing the film criticism was it was just a lot of macho posing. Come on, give me a break. If you're built like Jason Momoa, you're going to do all the macho posing. He basically just easily, because he's like a super being, he just walks through them. But he's quite cold as well. I feel like this is the way the new DC films have went. It is quite cold. He has a chance to save a villain, but he doesn't. He leaves him with the sun. So it's basically, you get this nice wee moment where the mercenary father is talking to the mercenary son, and blah, blah, blah. Aquaman comes in, starts battering people, and the father gets trapped and is going to blow up, and the son can't save him, and Aquaman doesn't help him, which is quite weird for a superhero to let someone die, regardless of what they are. But I feel like that's now the way superheroes have went. I think it makes them more human, because, let's be honest, I think a lot of people would do it. So you got this whole revenge story from Black Manta, which is exactly why Black Manta wants to kill the Aquaman. Brilliant, love it. Yeah, so Aquaman has a trident, but it's not the trident that we know of. It's actually his mother's trident. And just to stay up, because people are all saying, how does he got that trident if he wants it to do it? It turns out it's his mother's. He goes with Amber Heard, who comes up to collect him, to come down to the world of the sea. Can I just say as well, the way they do this is just, he goes into the ocean at first and it's just all dark and dingy, but then I think someone says around, your eyes will adjust, and it's Aquaman's eyes adjust to the water. I'm sure Aquaman may be one of the most colourful films I've ever seen. Like, I think the film won special effects awards and I totally agree. The way they painted these cities underwater was just amazing. It was one of the most beautiful, colourful films that I think I've ever seen for sci-fi, for special effects. So once you've managed to just take in all this amazement of beautiful colours and stuff, you are led into a wee ship, and Amber Heard is talking to Aquaman about, oh, you need to do a revolution, you need to take your throne back, you are the rightful heir or something, or that, nonsense of rebellion. Aquaman's then captured by the guards, the Atlantean guard, where he's took in front of a trial in front of the Ocean Master, who's not the Ocean Master at this point, because he becomes the Ocean Master. Who cares? We'll call him the Ocean Master because that is what he goddamn is to me. He's the true King of Atlantis, but we'll not get into that. They have a big brotherly fight. I will challenge you to a duel, and he gets it right. Aquaman, being so emotional, gets a ton of abuse off his mentor, William Dafoe, because he let his emotions get track. Aquaman is going to lose. He's saved by Amber Heard. You think of this really amazing escape scene where they're flying over the city, getting beautiful colours, beautiful just sci-fi. Just such a goddamn beautiful film. They hide in a whale's mouth using a story that Arthur Curry had learned, which is Aquaman. His name's Arthur. I feel I should maybe explain that. We'll go call him Aquaman because that's who he is. And he hides in a whale's mouth because he learned it from Pinocchio. So that's great because he can control animals as well and talk to them and blah blah blah, all that great jazz that Aquaman can do. So they escape, and this is now their story about how to figure out where the real trident is of the king and the suit of armour and stuff, because you learned that the Atlanteans were actually on Earth, above water, and it was their search for science, and they went too far and they all crumbled and blah blah blah, and that they all became different races. So you have the Atlanteans that look as if they look human in a sense. I think they've got weird ears. You have a group that looks like shrimp. Yeah, weird fish things, who I think are not war, they're more peace. You have a crab-like society that are all tough and ready for fighting. And then you have the deep, who are just monsters that are stuck in the water that just appear in the darkness and snatch fishermen, apparently. And they all come together because the Ocean Master's got a plan to attack Earth by using this submarine that was at the start. So you wonder, well, where is that submarine? Turns out that the Black Manta took that submarine, gave it to the Ocean Master, who was firing upon it to make it look like it was trying to kill Dolph Lundgren, Skaboof. And that's how they're planning to unite the kingdoms of the ocean to rise above and defeat humanity. But there's a lot of infighting amongst that. So why you've got all these amazing scenes growing of them all fighting each other to take power. You've got the Aquaman doing his wee detective stuff with Mira. There's a brilliant fight scene. I think is it a Roman village, an old Italian village. That seems just brilliant as well. That's actually the scene I'm sure where Black Manta fully appears in his Atlantean gear. He's been given Atlantean equipment to help him defeat Aquaman, and that's where he makes the iconic, round helmet with the red eyes that can shoot the lasers. They've kept it really, I think, really comic. I wondered how they're going to do it, and they've just kept it perfect. I think the difference is, I think some in comics it's just one visor, and I'm sure in this one it was two visors, or the other way about. That's the difference in its quality, and it's just again such brilliant CGI. Blah blah blah. Anyway, we're going on. They find a boat. They sail out to the dark oceans. This is now where you meet the creatures of the deep. It's these horrible monsters. Blah blah blah. Try to kill them. They find their way to the center of the earth, which is it's this really weird center where there's dinosaurs. I think I remember seeing a pterodactyl flying about. And this is where you think another one of these dirty creatures from the deep is trying to steal Amber Heard. Turns out it's actually Nicole Kidman. She wasn't dead. Oh yes. Mother's alive. Oh, great. The romance can maybe continue. Yay. So Aquaman has to do this big test to prove, spoiler alert, but the film's been out. I don't care for spoilers. Get up, these. The film's been out for a while. So he has to do this big test to fight this big, I don't know, it's like a weird big tentacle monster creature. It's weird.
Voiced by Julie Andrews, by the way, strangely enough.
I did not know that. There you go. You know more. I feel like you maybe know more of me. I'm just battering through this, flinging in cool bits that I liked. Yeah, didn't know that. It's actually, I'm going to watch that later on the night now. Yeah, so you've got this weird scene, and it's like she or it or the thing is waiting for the true king to appear. But it turns out it's tooketh back the Arthur or Aquaman being able to talk to it. So then she learns that you are the true one, and you get this really cool scene again, posing, Jason Momoa, the cool dude, comes out in the full gold, the full armour, holding the trident, out the waterfall, and it's just brilliant music playing. Oh god, they could have had doves flying out for John Woo and everything. Everything would have made this so cool. And then at this time, you have the big fight now. This amazing battle, which I think perfectly the film has perfectly. I think the film has perfectly worked up to this. You've got this great fight. It's a battle between like the crab people, as I was saying, they'll not surrender them to the Ocean Master and the other races who've surrendered. So you just have this big battle. You've got like megalodon sharks and old dinosaur sharks just fighting each other with big crabs flinging things. It's amazing looking. The special effects are fantastic. I keep saying that because it is. And then halfway through it, the creatures from the deep appear. Aquaman's controlling all these horrible monsters. Then they realise he's the true king of Atlantis. They all start panicking. Dolph Lundgren surrenders. Blah blah blah. You then get this really cool fight scene between the Ocean Master and Aquaman. Again, it's just all macho bullshit, but it's amazing. CGI great again. It is a very good fight scene. And Aquaman beats the Ocean Master. He snaps his trident, his father's trident, and that's basically it. It doesn't kill him because his mother appears, and that's really that the end of it. I've got a weird feeling the Ocean Master will return in Aquaman 2. I think he's too important of a character not to appear. You then get this really lovely end scene where Nicole Kidman goes back to Murray Morrison. I remember your name. And you get that whole lovely nice scene about how a queen, married a lighthouse keeper. And it is just a very nice film. And you get that very cool ending of Aquaman just rising in the water. Because why not? Yeah, so there's my jumbled, scribbled, flung together plot. The film, but yeah. Peter, what do you think if you can come in with a bit more organisation for me?
Yeah, Aquaman's a lot of fun. Like, it's like a big spectacle fairy tale, basically.
Yep.
And, like, works totally from that point of view. Like, it's like, as you say, it's a really colourful film, and I feel like that just goes to the tone of the film as well. Just, yeah, as you say, I like Jason Momoa as Aquaman. Like, wasn't the standard mold for what you do with Aquaman. Then again, what do you do with Aquaman? It's a notoriously laughed at character. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I feel like by the time he's wearing the gold and green suit, like, it works. I don't know why, but it works. Like, he's walking out in that suit towards the end of the film, and yeah, Jason Momoa, he just seems like a cool guy. Basically, he's never going to win any acting awards, but he holds his own basically. And yeah, if I can talk about his dad, Tamura Morrison, as well, that's interesting that you actually. I feel like this film does just enough twisting of expectations to like act as its own film, really, because how many times have we ever seen a superhero who has a father figure like in his life,
Yep.
who he has a positive relationship with? Like, Tamura Morrison is just his dad, who he'll go down the pub with and have a laugh with, and that's a relationship you never see in a superhero film. And
Yep.
yeah, good. As you say, it's a beautiful, great looking film. Like, what they did with the special effects is just incredible in this film. If it didn't win the Oscar, probably should have. I don't know what else was. Yeah, maybe Thanos and Infinity War would have beaten them, but aside from that, yeah, yep, good characters, good casting. As you say, Patrick Wilson, who, of course, this film is directed by James Wan, who's done a lot of horror movies recently, and I'm kind of mixed on James Wan. I feel like a lot of his horror movies, aside from the first Saw, which I think is pretty solid, a lot of the other ones feel pretty generic to me, but yeah, James Wan brings something to this film, and of course he brought Patrick Wilson with him, who is in all of his films basically, and I feel like Ocean Master has a little bit more to him. Like, you kind of get that this character has that point of view just because he's just raised insulated basically. Like, he's born to rule and has been any challenge to a traditional monarchy has just been stamped out of his train of thought basically. So quite liked it that he didn't die at the end, and there was the possibility that him and Arthur could come to some kind of truce in a sequel, which I suppose we'll see. I don't know. I'm not sure about the sequel because I feel like on the one hand, James Wan is kind of in and out about whether he's actually going to direct it or just produce it. And also, he heard this. Jason Momoa is apparently one of the writers on Aquaman 2. So
I don't like that. I don't like when I hear that, like, is that not the issue with Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool 2?
that was absolutely the issue with Ryan Reynolds.
I never like,
Deadpool 2.
I don't mind hearing wee stories where maybe actors have just slightly changed some scripts, like Alan Rickman's character in Robin Hood, and I think Bruce Willis and someone else changed their character. But I don't mind that. But no, there's something about actors just writing a script.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And yeah, Aquaman's fun. One thing I'd say, and listen, I am not trying to like politicize this show or anything, but I don't think Amber Heard is good in this film. I think she's very stilted, is what I'd say. Like, she can't really do the fantasy dialogue, and yeah, it's in a genre that seems to be making quite a few moves towards really female empowerment. This seems like a step back almost, the character of Mira. Like, I feel like there's a few moments, like as you say, that scene in the Italian village where they get a few moments together, but a lot of the time it just felt like Amber Heard was pretty miscast in this film. And yeah, that would be the reason. Like, again, I'm not trying to step into the commenting on the situation that she's in right now, but like, if they do recast her, in my opinion, it's because she's just not very good in that role, not because she is and again, maybe I do believe that she as a person is terrible, maybe I don't, but yeah, it should be because, yeah, she's not very good in that role, basically. So aside from that, Aquaman is a fun film. So we would move on to worst right now, but we've decided to add in an extra category this week. We're going to talk about our favorite animated DC films because since about, I don't know, what's that, about 2007, they probably started putting out these direct to DVD. I mean, there were a few in the 90s on and off, but there's been the direct line just every year. There's been a few direct to DVD animated DC films and some really good ones in there, honestly. I mean, it feels like something a lot of people would probably ignore, just thinking, oh, direct to DVD animation, it's probably just something that's churned out, but it's good ones. So my favorite of these is the 2 parts Batman The Dark Knight Returns, based on the Frank Miller comic, which, yeah, we can't overstate the importance of that original Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns, just as far as comics go. Like, comes out in 1986, the same year as Watchmen, and those two comics basically just changed the landscape for comic books and just make everything a bit darker. Like, a lot of people want to credit Tim Burton's Batman, which is a great film. Like, again, if The Dark Knight wasn't out there, I probably would have picked maybe like the second Batman film that Tim Burton made, Batman Returns, is one of the best DC films. But yeah, everyone wants to credit Tim Burton for making Batman dark, but no, it's these comics. Like, Frank Miller puts out Dark Knight Returns in 86, then Batman Year One in 87, and then Alan Moore does The Killing Joke in 88, and those are the comics that really made Batman dark. And this 2-part animated film is basically almost a word-for-word adaptation of this Dark Knight Returns comic. So if you don't know the plots, it's a plot that's basically been mined for a lot of recent Batman films. Elements appear in a lot of them where you're in this dystopian future 10 years after the Justice League was forced to disband because superheroes were outlawed, and you focus on Bruce Wayne, who's just this bitter old man who's grown restless and has decided now that he's seen society just deteriorating and street gangs are becoming more dangerous than ever, etc. He is going to come out of retirement, and this is just one of the most, it's one of the bleakest, most badass portrayals of Batman you can imagine. Of course, it's kind of a weird chasing itself ring, because a lot of people talk about, if you read Dark Knight Returns, RoboCop comes out the next year, which just in the tone and a lot of the political satire in that film, it feels like that film was heavily influenced by The Dark Knight Returns. And as I say, trends chasing each other. In this animated film, Peter Weller, RoboCop, is voicing Bruce Wayne. So yeah, it's pretty, as I say, pretty grim, but pretty, feels like pretty intimate story that becomes this massive epic as you go along. Like after Bruce is taking out this revolutionary street gang, you get into more stories about like, oh, this supposedly reformed Two-Face who is just totally scarred from everything that's happened in the past, and Bruce Wayne has to take him on again. And then you get the Joker breaking out of prison, who's been in a coma for all these years, but now that Batman's back, of course, he has to come back. You get this insanely violent fight between Batman and the Joker at a carnival where, yeah, again, skip ahead about a minute or so if you haven't seen this film or read the comic. Like, the Joker is, of course, pressuring Batman, trying to push him to kill him, break his one rule, and Batman cripples Joker, but doesn't kill him, and then Joker breaks his own neck to frame Batman for killing him, which just puts you into the grimmest, most nihilistic superhero story I think that's ever been told, basically. And yeah, I feel like you can tell that Zack Snyder loves this portrayal of Batman. Like, even down to the fact that, like, of course, we need to talk about the fact that this film ends with Superman, who's now this pawn of the government and pawn of Ronald Reagan, who, of course, the president is modeled after in this film. Superman, who is like the last active superhero, is forced to go and kill Batman because Batman's crusade against crime is promoting a bad image for the government. And you get this, let's face it, it's the best version of the Superman Batman fight that's ever been told, basically, where, yeah, you get the characterizations in there where there is this respect between them, but yeah, Batman is just staying true to his morality, whereas it's kind of like in Captain America: Civil War, what happens with Iron Man, where Tony Stark isn't really playing into his own beliefs. He's just trying to like keep a status quo because of everything that's gone wrong in his life. And that's the same thing with Superman here. Like, you can tell he's on the wrong side, but you can tell he kind of regrets it at the same time. And yeah, like, there's so much. Like, I won't go into the ending, but it's just a epic story basically, and so many cool elements. Like, Green Arrow shows up in this with one arm because he had his arm taken off by the government after refusing to resign from the Justice League. And of course, you get the brilliant character of Carrie in this film, who's the young female Robin, who's just this girl who comes from like a nothing kind of background, who just decides one day she's going to put on a Robin costume and follow Batman into the field. And he just ends up saying, all right, you can like follow me, but the second you do something wrong, you're out. But you do get this sense that Batman does grow to care for her and wants the trainer to be his Robin. And yeah, like, I feel like there's a lot in this film. Like, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, because I feel like a lot of people probably haven't seen these animated films, but I love what they do with Alfred in this film. Like, there's just, like, without spoiling it, there's just a really emotional scene with Alfred, just seeing Bruce Wayne's legacy just crumbling towards the end of this film, and seeing how dark everything's going to get, and you just feel so bad for Alfred when he's looking at this picture of the young Bruce Wayne. And yeah, it's basically, as we say, like, I'm not trying to say, oh, I love grim and nihilistic. As I say, I love Marvel movies, so those are a lot lighter than most these first two DC movies I've talked about anyway. But it feels like it's following the correct character path in this film, and that's why, as I say, it's an extreme take on Batman, and kind of feels like what Batman v Superman was going for. And again, I kind of like that film despite its flaws, but this is the definitive version of that story about why Batman would fight Superman and what would happen if Batman was pushed to this extreme, basically. So, yeah, Robert, have you seen this film?
Yeah, I've seen them. It's been a while, but I must admit, I was actually, with Liz, you were saying it, I was just flicking through Now TV to give them a watch, because when you mentioned it to me earlier, I really want to watch them because I think they're great. I think they've inspired the most of Zack Snyder's things about Batman. I think he's openly spoke about it, that he wants to do that comic. But that is what he wants to do, which is interesting. I mean, would you let Zack Snyder do it? I mean, I would, because an idiot and I'm a Zack Snyder fan, so I would let him do it. But I'd be interested. It'd be interesting to see live action how they would work it. I think there's also a lot of. I think there's even wee Easter eggs from that in Justice League, the remake, the Zack Snyder cut, because I'm sure if you remember, in the Dark Knight, if I get this animated film right now, they in the first film defeat a gang called mutants. Is that right? Yep. I thought that they're all pale white, bald, and weird ears and red eyes. In the Zack Snyder Justice League, there is a scene where at the very end, when they're doing their big speech, he's sitting on top of this massive tank. You can see all these bald-headed people all tied up, and I weirdly think the Robert Pattinson film's going to involve them, or people that look like them anyway. Uh, yeah, I seem to weirdly remember more of the first film than the second film, which annoys me because the second film is fantastic. It's so they're very yeah. I mean, it's great. It probably is. Is it? Yeah, it's the best animated film. I'm going to say. I like my choice, and I had other choices, but you've picked the best animated one. It is. I like dark and gritty and horrible blood and Batman being bad and give it to me. I want the darkness. I want to see pain, Peter, and yeah, that gives me it. I like it. It's brilliant. It is the best.
Cool. So why don't we get on to your favorite
Yeah.
DC film?
Well, you took it. No, I had a hard choice this because I really do like them. I was so cheesered when I got Now TV to see that they had a good selection, but not those films, which annoyed me. But anyway, I had a hard choice. It was, do I pick Justice League Doom? Do I pick Flashpoint? We know which is another very iconic one. I think there's even as Suicide Squad, Road to Hell, which is like a follow-on from that, or Help to Pay. Can't remember that. I've not really seen. I was going to try and watch that, but then I found my choice. So I'm going for Justice League War, which came out in 2014, and I think this was the animated films had a slight reboot in terms of the comics joining the New 52, as they're called. So it was like they changed a lot of the looks, not drastically looks. Like I really like the New 52 Batman look. Aquaman had a New 52 look, but it's funny because I think Aquaman in the films, in the live action, is Jason Momoa, but in the animated New 52 comic and film, he's got blonde hair. But whatever. So in Justice League War, you have Christopher Gordon playing the Flash. You have Jason O'Mara playing Batman. You have Shamar Moore playing Cyborg. You have Sean Astin playing Shazam, who, if I get this right, is Bilbo Baggins.
Is Sam from Samwise
That's
Gamgee.
it.
Yep.
Oh my god, I felt the Hobbit just take care of me now. God, they're all the same. Alan Tudyk playing Superman, which, let's be honest, the man is a very good voice actor. He is it's probably the closest he'll ever be playing Superman. I can't see him playing Superman live action. Michelle Monaghan playing Wonder Woman. and Justin Kirk playing Hal Jordan. So this is basically Darkseid's coming. There we go. I couldn't talk about Justice League because we spoke about it. I couldn't talk about the Watchmen because we spoke about it. So I thought I'm going to pick Justice League War, so I get to talk about Darkseid. So it's basically you start off with Batman doing an investigation around the city. He's noticing these creatures planting bombs, or what I think he thinks the bombs at the start. So he's dealing with that, doing his sneaky investigating thing. But in a weird way, it's this universe is very weird. The superheroes aren't aware of each other. Well, or they are, but they're rumored. So Batman, of course, being Batman, knows who everyone is. He knows them all because it's Batman. But people don't think Batman's real. So Green Lantern turns up and starts weirdly trying to fight with Batman at the same time because he thinks Batman's a monster. And you've got this really good banter scene between the Green Lantern and Batman where he keeps poking at him. So what are you? Wish you a vampire? Can you fly? And he goes, no, I'm just a human. The Green Lantern doesn't seem to accept that the Batman is just the human. So as it's going on, this weird conversation, Batman steals the power ring without realizing. So Green Lantern's walking away having this conversation, and he's appeared his jumpsuit. So Batman then learns his name's Hal Jordan, and he figures out how the ring works. Weirdly, he figures out how the ring works more than Hal Jordan figures out. Again, I think that's just Batman being the overpowered goddamn national treasure that he is. So they talk about they don't know what this technology is because the Green Lantern, with the ability of all the powers of the knowledge that the Lanterns have in their 45,000 universal sectors, scans the box and he's getting nothing from it. So they don't know. So Batman suggests we go and see the Kryptonian. The Green Lantern's what the very man that can fly from Metropolis. It's like they don't seem to know each other, which is quite weird. I don't know. I just find it really weird. All the years because it's meant to be set. They've had a bit of time doing their jobs, and it's just like no one knows each other. Like Gotham, no one's met, no one's ran in. So okay. They have this fight with Superman, who basically battles him because he's Superman and he's strong and he can't stop him. Like, come on. In a sense that Batman manages to stop him by calling out his name. No doing the Martha thing. He doesn't go Martha. He just says Clark Kent. That stops him. He scans him. He knows he's Bruce Wayne. That weirdly is enough to tell them that they're on each other's side. Okay. I like it. I'll go for it. They don't know what the bombs are. The Flash appears, and I like this because I feel like a lot of them do this. The Flash is obsessed with Batman. Like, he can't believe the legends are true. He's such a big fan. He reads all the stories about him. They just got that really stupid Flash being a child next to Batman. And speaking of children, you then get Billy Batson, who appears. Not with them. You've got this weird scene where he sneaks in to a game, an American football game, which just happens to be Victor Stone's game. At this point in time, Victor Stone is human. He's not a, cyborg yet. So blah, blah, blah. He sneaks in, watches his game. He looks up, wins the game. His father's not there. It plays that usual storyline that didn't like his dad, that whole thing. Billy Batson's in his seat. So Billy Batson manages to get behind in the changing room. He's a very good sneaker, by Billy Batson. I'll give him his due. The orphan knows how to get around. He sneaks in. They have a nice wee conversation. I think Victor Stone goes to meet his father. And this is where you start to learn that these aren't bombs. They are doors. They're portals. They explode like a bomb, but it's a portal explosion. So you're getting all these different scenes of explosions and portals opening. So Batman, Aquaman, and the Flash and stuff are having this big fight, stopping them. And you've got the Cyborg who sadly stood next to it. I think he was holding it. Cyborg was holding it, if I remember rightly. It's exploded around him. So it's not opened up a portal, but it's opened into him. And this is where his father creates Cyborg by using, I think, a very much, again, like the Justice League that we've seen with Zack Snyder, and I think the general storyline is how Cyborg is created. We know that Cyborg is a great character in this. There's always a weirdness with the comics where people debate this, and I don't really get the debate. There's a debate whether Superman should be with Wonder Woman or should Batman be with Wonder Woman. This film or universe goes with the Superman version. which I'm personally not with, because I think that defeats Superman. The whole point was he goes to Earth, meets Lois Lane, and helps humanity with his super babies. That's my take on it. But they meet each other. Wonder Woman's still very naive to the world. You know, she meets a man who makes ice cream, and she calls him the hero of the world for making ice cream. You know, she's still naive. It's a weird one. But anyway, they meet saving the president's plane, and it's all, oh, I admire your strength. It's really weird stuff. You know how she's a warrior. Yeah, it's a bit, you know, that weird romance because it doesn't fit for me. Their weird romance, but you get this great. Basically, all these battles start appearing. The Justice League isn't working as a team because they're all still individuals. It's like Superman thinks, well, he is the greatest, you know, superhero around, so he thinks he can do it all himself. Batman's trying to keep people as a team. Hal Jordan's being cocky because Hal Jordan is cocky. The Flash is trying his best. Cyborg's still trying to figure himself out. Shazam's just a child punching things. It's chaos. They're getting beat. The dark side is just annihilating them. You get the good dark side beams, the Omega rays, which Batman again avoids because he's just so cool. I think the Flash outruns them. Amazing. But you're getting this image of them stealing people and turning them into dark side soldiers. And Superman is then kidnapped. And then Batman, being cool as you like, turns into Hal Jordan and says, you have to get the leader. You have to become this hero that you're supposed to be. You're the leader now. Unite the group. I'm away to go and save Superman. He just basically takes his cowl off, puts a jacket on, whistles, and he gets took away by one of these monsters to go to this evil planet to save Superman, proving again that is Superman the greatest superhero of all time, or is it Batman? I'm starting to believe it may be the human being with no powers, just billions and trillions of cash. But yeah, you get that whole scene. They work as a team because, you know, teamwork is the savior of it all. They find out Darkseid's weakness and they start gunning his eyes. The fight is very good. It is a good fight. I like the animation style of it. The costumes all look fabulous. Again, it's the new 52 different drawings, I think, so they've went for that, because I'm sure I did see a new 52 Batman comic, and he was basically but the Batman is in the animated film. So they beat Darkseid. They're all getting their big medals, and they ask what you called, and I can't remember what they says, but Shazam doesn't say Justice League. Shazam says something stupid like Super Friends. I'm sure he doesn't say Justice League because Shazam is, again, as we keep saying, Shazam's a child, which I think really needs to be pointed out sometime about Shazam or Captain Marvel, that he is a child. There is a sequel to it. You get this, again, spoilers. I don't care though, so I'm just going to tell you. Peter, I apologise if you've not seen it, you'd like to see it. You get an after scene credit. I'm not going to say what happens in it. It's just an introduction to the Ocean Master, and the next film does introduce Aquaman. There you go. So Peter, I don't know if you've seen it. Again, I've went through the plot. Again, picking out things I like. The animation style is very good. It's not as dark as The Dark Knight, evidently. I don't think you can make something very dark with Shazam unless it's the Injustice comics and game, which I think they are trying to make a film of, which is quite interesting. But again, that's a complete different spin-off.
Yeah, it makes me wonder what kind of film we're going to see if indeed Zack Snyder gets to make his Justice League sequels and they then have to work in Zachary Levi's Shazam, which would be a strange insertion, I've just got to say. Which
although I weirdly wonder if they'll keep him and Black Adam in their own universe.
Well, they did hint that they had the Superman showing up at the end, that without Henry Cavill.
Aye, but it could be that we did a Superman for the TV show.
Could be.
That's how they could get away with it.
Well, there's a lot of Superman to keep track of now, apparently.
Aye, there's allegedly hundreds of Batman as well. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, I have seen Justice League War a couple of times. This is a fun one. Like, kind of low on plot, I suppose you'd say. Like, it is pretty
simple.
It is just like, it's kind of why it works in the end. It is just action and character beats, basically. And yeah, it's good, like well chosen character beats. Like, as you say, like that whole scene when Superman is trying to fight Batman, and Batman says, "I can stop you with one word, Clark." It's awesome. It's just like the Batman Superman relationship boiled down to a simple moment, really. And yeah, I agree with you on the Wonder Woman thing, though. Like the whole thing about Wonder Woman, it's similar to Superman. Like Superman is the alien who fell in love with a human woman, and that's why he protects Earth. Like Wonder Woman is this incredible female character who all she ever needed was someone like Steve Trevor, just an ordinary human, or in some cases Bruce Wayne. So yes, it's hard to quite say about this film. Like it's just again just character moments really, and yeah, it's good. Like I just love the badass nature of Bruce Wayne in this film. Like the fact that doesn't he like realizing he can't get past a bunch of parademons or something, he just takes off the cowl and just goes back into Bruce Wayne mode just to walk past them, and then becomes Batman again once he's on the other side. It's just, yeah, that just defines why I love Superman, but it just defines why Batman's the greatest headlining comic book character ever. But yeah, there's not really much to say. It's just a fun action romp with some good character moments, really. And yeah, Justice League War. Watch it if you haven't, folks. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't watched the sequel because I didn't realise it was actually on any streaming service. I've now discovered it is on Now TV, although it came out in like 2016. I think I was looking forward to it, forgot about it. I don't know why. So I'm going to watch that tonight because I really want to see it. But yeah, you bring it up. The plot is simple, and I think we spoke about that. You can sometimes get away with that, which is pretty weird. I think it's more. I always just picked up the plot was just we're all superheroes, but we're not working as a team, and we're getting battled by this really big bad guy. But we'll work as a team now, and we can win because we're all super friends. It's simple, but isn't that what the Justice League is? I've said enough. I love it. I think it's great. Darkseid is just cool. Anything with Darkseid in it, I'm down for. I would love Darkseid or Darkseid, however you want to pronounce him. I love him. He's a great character.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's kind of like a microcosm of the same kind of plot of Snyder's film. So yeah, it's a good companion piece, I'd say. Alternate take.
Sorry. Yes.
No, like positive.
All right.
That's why another section of the show to sell things like that fucking alcoholic bastard who said, no, he wrote it in, but it was negative.
Aye. Sorry, we're broke. We took a break anyway because missed his work. No, that's fine. Aye, I'll talk to you later.
Who's this alky bastard?
The Scotland manager. He's lied about something.
Okay.
He said somebody didn't have that coronavirus, and then it turns out he has got the coronavirus. Yeah.
Lovely.
Anyway,
It's a dangerous world, Scottish football.
It is. It is. It's not to be trifled with. It's almost like Batman versus the Joker.